Hobless S panel. Qui. That means what? I'm learning Spanish so I can talk to Orb 3000 at the Big Android Barbecue. I'm Ace Renock and this is XDA Developer TV. So a lot of devices were announced last week, just before the iPhone announcement, and a lot will come right after. The one that interests me is the Kindle Fire HD. Amazon's approach to hardware is really fascinating. They're the only Android OEM that is self-subsidizing their own hardware. Sure, there's Google, but they have yet to actually subsidize anything through Motorola. Amazon has no interest in making a profit on the Kindle. They want you to buy their other which the Kindle specifically lets you do at a lower cost to them. You don't have to ship ebooks or music or movies or web services. They are out to sell content. Now, Apple did kind of the same thing, except they didn't subsidize. Back in the day when Metallica sued a bunch of people for pirating their music and brought down Napster, Apple jumped on that opportunity and turned their very simple little music player, iTunes, into a music store. Capitalized on all that fear. And then they started making more and more hardware where people could access that music that they bought legally in more places. Getting away from your computer. It's more products. That's why, well, the iPod and then the iPhone and the iPad, they're all so closely tied into iTunes. It's not a sizable app store that makes a device successful. That's just further appeal. The first iPhone launched without an app store and it was hugely successful. iTunes is the key to Apple's success. Make sure they're the only ones that can give you iTunes away from a computer. That doesn't make sense for Amazon to do. They just need to maintain their monopoly over online sales, which Amazon absolutely does. They are facing antitrust charges because of it. Actually, Apple's facing the same charges. So then Apple does whatever it can with design to increase the perceived value of the hardware itself, and they charge whatever they want. People need iTunes, apparently. And they're the richest company in the world because of it. And then there's Google. As I said, they are subsidizing, but they aren't doing that through Motorola. Google gives the content to everybody. Motorola has no advantage there. I mean, Google could operate Motorola at a loss, but that would piss off all the other Android OEMs. That's actually why the OEMs were all upset when Google first announced that it wanted to buy Motorola. It wasn't about faster updates or inside information or favoritism. It was about subsidizing content. I mean, who wants to be undersold by their own partner? It's why they end up doing the Nexus devices with everybody else. And of all the other OEMs, Sony is the only one that's really set up to sell their devices for exclusive content. They just don't do a very good job of it. Same with Microsoft and Xbox Live and Zune and well, I mean, so far, we don't know what's going to happen with Windows Phone 8. And we don't know if Microsoft is actually going to be subsidizing the Surface tablet. And it's actually really, really hard to get people to buy a device without content. I mean, everybody is struggling. Might not be so bad if this enormous f***ing recession wasn't going on right now. The one exception to that is Samsung, the biggest OEM in the world, who doesn't subsidize, doesn't offer any content. Actually, they may subsidize some of the higher-end devices with their lower-end devices, or vice versa. We don't actually know, but it's not subsidized much. So what's their secret? Arguably, it's because they make products that look a hell of a lot like other people's products. But something tells me that you can't actually get to biggest OEM in the world by copying other people's ideas. Or maybe you can, I don't know. Get what people who aren't looking for content beyond what Google offers hooked on that Galaxy brand, and they'll work their way up from a low-end ripoff to a high-end flagship device. So yeah, Amazon is doing something really unique, something definitely worth paying attention to. You know, I wouldn't be all that surprised if AT&T further subsidized the 8.9-inch 4G LTE Kindle Fire HD. Jesus Christ, that's a long name. I mean, what's AT&T got to lose? Spend $200 on an account that's going to make you over $2,000 in 2 years? That's a good investment. Now, last year when the original Kindle Fire came out, people touted it as Android's last chance on tablets. And I think it absolutely lived up to that. Now there's the Nexus 7, subsidized, pretty successful, and I don't think that would have happened if Amazon hadn't shown Google how to do it. Apple is looking to make the iPad mini, keep the price low, and that also probably wouldn't have happened without the Kindle Fire. You know, me saying that is going to piss off some Apple people, but what reason does Apple have to make an inexpensive device? Qui, come at me, bro! Kindle Fire is a pretty respectable device. So again, I'm Ace Renock, and this is XDA Developer TV.